Hi, this is Candi Wolfe, and I'd like to share with you a beginner photography technique that adds a lot of creativity to your images. It's pretty simple to use, and it's actually one that I use in my professional wedding photography almost every single weekend. This will add a bunch of life to your photos, I believe, and it's called creative angles. Creative angles, it's pretty self-explanatory, but what it means is that instead of photographing with your camera here at the same angle all day long, looking directly at your subjects, you're going to turn your camera, maybe up, down, to the side, or you might even drop your body down or climb up on something and see the scene a little differently. It can really change what you're seeing in the finished photo just by a simple move or a twist of your body or the camera or both. When I show you these samples from my wedding work, you'll know exactly why I love this technique. The first sample here is the flower girl looking on at the bridal party. So if I were standing and I looked down, I would see the top of her head and some of the ground in front of her. But by dropping down behind her and photographing from her eye level and looking out, I get to see her perspective, and it's a much more meaningful image. Creative angles might also help you if you have something to photograph like a gown. And in this case, typically you would photograph the gown hanging and you're standing at its eye level. But here the gown's hanging in a doorway. So instead of doing that, going downstairs a few steps and looking back up in the room, I can see the gown hanging and waiting for the bride. I like showing more of their house. I like showing more of the scene, and it was a little more, to me, emotional than just photographing the gown straight on. In this case, photographing the bride, she's seated, so I'm standing and photographing down. This helps me see her awesome eyelashes, the jewelry in her hair, and the professional hairstyling that they did, and I love this angle a lot. So this is photographing down instead of a traditional view of eye to eye. In this case, I want to photograph the flowers, so instead of photographing them straight on in front of me, I actually put them on the floor. And luckily there was a full-length mirror right there, so I moved the flowers closer. But I'm still standing and photographing down. I can see the top of the flowers that way, and I can also see their reflection. But it's a creative angle versus just photographing straight on. So I hope you can see what I mean already by creative angles, but I'm going to show you a few more. In this case, at the ceremony, I'm in the back of the church. Now, had I been standing, you wouldn't see those lights as well, but what I did was duck down and shifted to the right. And that put a line of those candles, the lanterns, into my lens, and it leads your eye right to the subjects. Awesome shot of the guy's Converse and socks on the wedding day. They're kneeling, and of course we did a traditional image showing the guy smiling and kneeling. But in addition to that, really want to focus on those socks. So instead of seeing all the guys and the socks, ducking down with them and photographing at an angle the row of checkered socks was a really great way to showcase the subject here, which was the socks. And here the wedding cake. We typically do a traditional photo of the cake looking straight on, which we did in this case, but then another view is slightly more creative. So the angle here is turned down, turn my camera down and pointed down, following the tears, following I want to see the beading, I want to see the frosting artwork that they did. So that's why this adds just a little creative perspective instead of the straight on cake shot. In this case, ducking down and turning the camera, I want to show the purple flowers in the back of the ceremony, but I want to show the couple in the background exchanging their vows. So the flowers are in focus, but in the background you see the ceremony is happening. So it's just a little more of a creative way to show that versus the couple straight on. Obviously, in this case, I'm up higher, photographing down as the couple is on the stairs, but this brought in the stairs, the horseshoe shape of that banister, and also the chandelier and the windows too. So it was a great way to get up higher and photograph down to really show off the location and also the bride's train and her veil. In this case, I don't know if you'd see it at first, but I'm actually up on a level and photographing down. So it's a little more creative than having them walking straight toward me and maybe not seeing as much of the background. I'm climbing up high at an angle and photographing them. I want to see the boat in the background. I want to see the water. And also I want you to know that this was out in Boston and this was a nice way to show that. So climbing up on something sometimes can help too. And here, dropping down and getting some of the grasses in the front and then turning the lens too. So dropping and turning. You can try all these techniques depending on what you're photographing. And I like the look. So more creative. And again, the couple is out of focus. Traditional view would be them looking at me in focus, and we do that too. But here showing another perspective. So I hope those samples showed you that creative angles, pretty simple to use. It just requires you think about moving a little bit. Move your camera, move your body, and you can get some really fun images in different perspectives than a more traditional view. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next photography technique. Thanks.